Before you retire, think about these 3 key things to help you as you move forward in your medical practice. That's right. Many doctors are looking to retire now. Nearly 70% of doctors in their 40s are looking to retire in their 50s and 60s. This is an unheard of number. I saw this statistic recently by Medscape Retirement Report. On average, most doctors think that to retire, they're going to need around $3.9 million available so they can move forward. So if you're in your 40s and looking to retire, how far are you from that goal, right? They say in some cases, there's around 70% of them say they do have close to that goal, but still, there's still a long ways to go. So how do they achieve the number they're looking for and get their retirement goals? Well, let's unpack a little bit about why a lot of doctors are looking to retire now. Well, number one, burnout is huge. A lot of doctors just burned out due to the pandemic, due to changes in healthcare regulations, a shift in value-based care versus fee-for-service. These are all the things that are hitting doctors at the same time. So if you're an older doctor, this is something that you're desperately looking to kind of move out of and really enjoy what's going forward with your practice, right? And not having to spend your golden years figuring out how to get out of this practice. Number two, they just want to enjoy the time that they have, right? They've been spending a lot of time giving of themselves, medical doctors, nurse practitioners, to patients their whole lives. So do they have the time now to spend time with themselves and their family? This is the key component. So these are the things that's driving a lot of the medical practitioners as they look to move forward in the future of healthcare. So one of the things that we kind of help practices think about is number one, you want to think about your succession planning. Do you have a succession plan in place? Around 85% of doctors do not have succession plans in place, especially the independent ones. So what does that mean? If you decide to retire, who do you have in place to take that over? Typically, probably could be a physician colleague or physician group that you've known for years that can handle your patient load. That's great. The great thing is that you know them and you trust them and you know they'll do good with your patients. The bad thing is they may not have a lot of funding or money in order to take over this patient load. And so they may ask you to stay on a little bit longer than you want to, or they may say, hey, we're taking this over, this business. Do you mind if you sell or finance it? Basically being able to provide the wherewithal to help fund the patients as they get over to the new organization, and then making sure that that's taken care of. And then they pay you over time in what they call an earnout, a process by which they slowly pay you your payments so that you can finally be bought out of the practice. That can be great initially, but it takes so long and it's a lot of ups and downs and hard work to kind of deal with that. Do you want to deal with that? You know, it depends, but you may have no option. The third way is thinking about a hospital group. Well, the challenge with that is hospital groups are not looking for certain practices, right? If you're a high performing or high revenue producing medical specialty like a cardiologist group or orthopedic, then that's something they're looking for. There's a lot of revenue, more importantly, profitability they can generate from those type of specialties. So that's something that you may want to think about. If you have that, then great. That could be something that you could bring to a hospital and say, hey, I'm looking to sell my practice. Would you be interested not just in my patient populations, but also in taking over and making sure everything's taken care of? And they can obviously pay a higher premium, but more importantly, there'd be a faster buyout process, right? And then last but not least, you can look at private equity. Private equity can be tough too because they're really strictly financial. The way they think about it is like the medical practice is only going to generate 1.5 to 2x their existing gross revenue. So what does that mean? If you're generating roughly $2 million a year, they're going to value at $4 million, which isn't a lot. That's far cry from that $3.9 million goal that you're trying to reach for retirement. But if you can find ways to generate more revenue, what does that mean? Adding more mid-levels, thinking about adding more services. Like I've seen practices offer cosmetic services, virtual care services, right? Looking at adding in nurse lines and other things, providing home health care or being a hospitalist at a hospital, just any way to bring in more revenue. But more importantly, you need to figure out why you don't drive that new revenue, right? That's why the mid-levels are important. If you have nurse practitioners in there, MAs, they can do all this other work for you so that if you're taken out, then the practice can still run and keep that revenue high. And that's what these private equity guys are looking for. Keeping revenue high if you're taking out the business, because for them, they're looking for high EBITDA, which is basically another way of saying high net profit, the difference between what it costs you to deliver services to your patients and the revenue that you get from them. So if that is pretty high, roughly you get 30% of every dollar you spend. So basically you're getting more money than you put in, then that's what private equity wants, because what they want to do is take that EBITDA, get debt for it, and basically pay the interest on debts, but that extra capital is helping you grow and expand. So you want to make sure before you get into that. So how do you look at that and how do you plan? From a succession planning, you have to understand where you are now. You need to understand exactly what you want to invest in today, tomorrow, and then when you retire. Number one, you definitely want to invest in a clear COO, Chief Operating Officer, who can help you run the operations while you think about expansion. You got to get that person in place now. It could be your practice admin or it could be a nurse practitioner, but someone who's really focused on the day-to-day operations so that pulls you out of it so you can think further along. Next, you want to think about your business and how you can grow revenue fast. One of the best ways you've seen is virtual care service. Thus the remote patient monitoring, chronic care management. I've spoken about this multiple times on this channel, so go check it out. But these are almost passive revenue producing services for things you're probably already doing. This is an opportunity to generate up to 7 figures in additional revenue that you didn't have before that can help you get to where you want to go on your goals for retirement. So you definitely want to invest in those like yesterday. Think about other things like understand your medical billing, deep dive, making sure you're not missing out on any revenue. That's a clear path. Doing an audit, a quick audit to understand exactly what you're missing so that you can replace that quickly. And then also look at new opportunities around clinical studies. You can generate up to thousands of dollars for every patient for studies. And you have a team in place that can implement that at scale, and bringing in a third party that can help you with that is really going to key to drive additional revenue. And these are paths you can do now. So the next 3 to 5 years, you can be on a path to retirement and get the dream life that you always dreamed of. So check out some of the other things we talked about. We talked about clinical studies on this channel. We talked about virtual care services, remote patient monitoring, chronic care management, and also medical billing. And then also go check out our latest book where we talk a little bit about like all the things you can do. Understanding how to increase practice value without burning out is going to be key as you move forward towards your retirement age. So if you like this content, follow me for more.